All right, let's do these vocab. So, points that are on the same plane. What's that? Coplanar. That's D. Very good. What's shaped like a floor and made up of 3 non-collinear points? A plane. That's B. Good. A point in space represented by a small dot. Point. Good. Which letter is point? F. L. Okay, I was like, that's line. Okay. Points that lie on the same line. J. Good. 5. An angle that measures 0 to 90 degrees. E is acute. Number 6. Made up of 2 points extending indefinitely in 2 directions. F. Line. Good. Number 7 consists of an endpoint and extends indefinitely in 1 direction. A, it's a ray. Number 8, an angle that measures between 90 and 180. G, obtuse. Number 9, an unproven statement based on a pattern or observation. C, conjecture. Good. Number 10, an angle that measures exactly 180. M, is that straight angle? Okay, and number 10, an example that shows a conjecture is false. I, counterexample. Good. All right, so again, double check those, fix them, and then later make sure you transfer them to your note card. You will have time in class to do that. But you will be responsible for knowing all of these definitions. Next Friday, it is a whole lot to memorize. It's a whole lot easier if you can get yourself organized and get it on a note card. Any questions? There's still 2 more I need to fit in there. Everybody good? We'll finish the last 2. No, there they are. Alright, so we still had number 12, an angle that measures 90 degrees. That's K, good. And then part of a line with 2 endpoints is called a line segment. That's H, very good. Alright, and then this last part, you're just drawing an example of each. So a ray starts at the first letter, goes through the second letter. So that's what ray BD would look like. Line QR goes through the points Q and R and extends indefinitely in both directions. Segments have endpoints, so no arrows. Goes from A to B. And then angle Q, R, S, look like that. Starts at Q, the vertex is R, and then extends through S. Arrows on the end because those are both rays. I think it would be a good example to have one of each of these on a note card just so that you remember that rays have 1 arrow, lines have 2 arrows, line segments have no arrows, things like that. It'll also be important to know how to name angles. We'll do a lot of that on the back of this worksheet as well. But I would put as many examples as you possibly could on the note card, but make sure it's not so small that you can't read it. That would be pointless. But again, you will have time at the end of the hour to work on your note cards, so if you want to see, once we get through this, maybe the parts that you think you won't remember, those would be the good parts to put on the note card. If it's something you know and you won't really need to refer to during the final, it might not be worth wasting the space, so it's really up to you. Any questions on the first page of the first review? Alright, back of the front page, it says describe the pattern, then state the next number in the pattern. So what are they doing in between each of these numbers? Each time they're adding
93.
Adding 3, good. So you could just write plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. That's good enough for me to describe the pattern. And then what would the next number be?
22.
22, good. Complete the conjecture. The product of any two negative numbers is positive, good. And then the way you would prove that, just give 2 examples. Pretty much any 2 negative numbers multiplied together should give you a positive number to show that that's true. Like negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Or negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5. Any 2 examples would work. Now, remember, your final is multiple choice. So maybe I will say, which example below proves this conjecture? And I'll give you the conjecture, and you have to decide which example actually shows that conjecture. Or maybe I'll give you a few examples, and I'll say which conjecture is proven with these 2 examples. Okay, so try to think of different ways this could be presented as a multiple choice problem, because your final will not have any short answer sections. It will all be strictly Scantron multiple choice. It might be some matching in there too, but again, your answers will be like A, B, C, D, or E. I'm not doing write-ins on this, so make sure you study how it will be presented as well. Alright, next, we want to show that this conjecture is false using a counterexample. The conjecture is all angles have a measure of 90 degrees. So give me an angle that would prove this is not correct. What? An acute angle, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, just draw a picture of an angle that's clearly not 90 degrees. That's obviously not 90 degrees. That's obviously not 90 degrees. That's obviously not 90 degrees. Okay, so any angle that you can draw that's not a 90-degree angle would be a counterexample to this statement. What are your questions? Alright, number 19 says name 3 collinear points.
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. Good. Collinear means they're on the same line, so A, B, and C are all on the line AC. Alright, name 4 coplanar points. So 4 points on the same plane. E, A, B, and C. Good. Pretty much all the points except D, because D is not on this plane. So the 4 coplanar points are A, B, C, E. Alright, any questions? Now, this one, sometimes I like to ask questions like, all of these points are coplanar except, and then I'll give you like A, B, C, D, E. So you would have to pick out that D is the one that's not coplanar. So again, try to think of how these might be presented in a multiple choice style format. Any questions? Alright, let's keep going to the back. I don't really like the wording on number 21 where it says what's the distance. I'll probably say like what's the length of DE, so just be aware of that. But you have 2 smaller segments. One's 9 inches, one's 13 inches, so what's the whole segment? 22 inches, good. Alright, name the intersection of those 2 planes. Intersections of planes are always lines. The line in this case is HI. Alright, the next one, number 23. Name the intersection of those 2 lines. What's the intersection of those lines? Point D. Good. Alright, and then we're classifying angles. So number 24, it's less than 90, so what would I call it? Acute, good. Number 25 is greater than 90, but not bigger than 180, so what would I call it? Obtuse, good. Any questions on those? Alright, one more page. Alright, how would you classify 26? It's less than 90, so I would call it acute, good. Number 27 is 180, so it's straight, good. And then 28? Right, good. Questions? Alright, just a few more. Now, 29 and 30, the directions say give 2 names. There's actually 4 possible names, and I want you to give me all of them. So does anyone know one of them?
Yes. XYZ.
Angle XYZ, good.
And then ZYX.
And then you can go the other way, ZYX, great.
And then just Y.
And then just the Y, good. And there's one more. Angle 1, very good. So if you use 3 letters, you start at one of the rays, you go down to the vertex always the middle, and then whatever points at the other ray, or you can go in reverse, point, vertex, point. Or if there's only one angle at that vertex, you can just use the letter of the vertex, or you can use the number inside the angle. Questions? Alright, number 30. Angle QRS, good. Or SRQ, or 2, or R. Very good. Alright, and then the last 2 are a little trickier. These are with a protractor. You have to draw the angles. So remember, when you're using a protractor, you need one of these. Anybody need a protractor? Come grab one. Alright, the first thing you want to do is draw a ray to get yourself started. So here's a ray. You want to line this little crosshair thing, this little like T. At the end point of your ray, make sure your ray is going off through the 0, and then count up 10, 20 until you find the angle you want, 30. So we want this to be 30 degrees. So when I line it up, it's right here. And then you move your protractor so you can use the straight edge and draw, whoops, what am I doing? What the heck? It won't let me draw. There we go. Sorry. I don't know why it made it blue, but there it is. Alright, same thing on the next one. So we want to start with a ray. Line that ray up with your protractor. Make sure the end point is through the little T in the middle of the bottom. Make sure the ray is going through the thick line on the side of the protractor. That's your 0. And then you want to start with the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 scale. Count all the way up till you get to 110. Put a little mark where the 110 is. Flip that protractor around so you can use the straight edge to connect. And there you go. If you need help with the protractor, just let me know. I can give you guys one-on-one assistance. But that's basically everything you need to know from Chapter 1. Do you guys have any questions on Chapter 1? So you have the remainder of class time today to either study this packet or work on your note card. When you're done with your note card, you can take it with you if you want. You can put it in the basket for safekeeping until your final if you want. And then tomorrow we'll start Chapter 2. So we will not revisit Chapter 1 until the Wednesday before finals. I'll give you some sample questions from each chapter. But this is all the time we have allotted in class for Chapter 1. So if you have a question on any of this material, make sure you ask before you leave today. And make sure you're using the rest of the time to get those note cards ready. If you are using class time wisely, your note cards should be done in class, and the majority of your studying should actually be done in class. So I'm not saying you don't need to study on your own. You definitely do. But I think you can get a lot of work done here if you use the time wisely. Any questions before I let you go on your own?